Atlanta News First Plus starts now.
Pleased to announce some of the most recent federal charges that have been brought as a result of an ongoing HSTF investigation, in which federal, state, and local law enforcement partners are all participating hand in hand with an extraordinary degree of cooperation. That cooperation is demonstrated by the presence of FBI Special Agent in Charge Paul Brown, GBI Director Chris Hosey, and Hall County Chief Deputy Sheriff Kevin Head, who are with me today and who will each talk about the roles that their agencies played in this investigation. The results of the cooperation are demonstrated by what you see on both sides of me here. Approximately 1,600 pounds of deadly Mexican cartel-trafficked methamphetamine, which remains a significant scourge in our community. In addition to seizing these drugs, which are worth tens of millions of dollars, GBI and the Hall County Sheriff's Office arrested two men who, as of earlier this week, are now facing federal drug trafficking charges. Gerardo Solorio-Alvarado and Nelsonen Sorto have been charged with possession with intent to distribute methamphetamine, and Solorio-Alvarado has also been charged with conspiring to commit that crime. Both men are convicted felons. Solorio-Alvarado was convicted in federal court for drug trafficking and possessing a firearm in furtherance of drug trafficking, and he served nearly 2 decades in federal prison for those offenses. He was then, and he remains, an illegal alien unlawfully present in the United States. Sorto was previously convicted of methamphetamine possession in state court, and he was on probation at the time of the offense alleged in this case. Both men are currently in state custody, but custody will be transferred to the United States Marshal Service. Thereafter, each of the defendants will appear in federal court before a federal magistrate judge, and my office will move for both of them to be held without bail until their cases have been resolved. Both men face possible life imprisonment without parole. Solorio-Alvarado faces at least 15 years of imprisonment because of his criminal history, and Sorto faces at least 10 years of imprisonment. Director Hosey and Chief Head will give the details regarding the operations that led to the seizure of the more than 700 kilograms, or about 1,580 pounds of the drugs that are displayed here. But I think it's important to note that we've seen the cartels operate this way before. Just in North Georgia, and just within the last few months, we have seen massive methamphetamine seizures of drugs that were smuggled in with cucumbers, or with celery, or with jalapeno peppers, and now, as you'll hear, blackberries. I want to acknowledge the outstanding crime fighters who are responsible for these seizures, particularly the men and women of the GBI in the Appalachian and the West Metro Regional Drug Enforcement Offices. I got to tell you, Will Trent can't hold a candle to the real thing. These guys were in the streets with the Hall County Sheriff's Office deputies just days before Thanksgiving to seize these drugs and arrest these defendants. I also want to acknowledge Hall County District Attorney Lee Dara for his cooperation and his partnership. One of the great things about being U.S. Attorney here in North Georgia is that we get to work with folks who have no ego, who are dedicated to the mission, who will work together because we all understand that by working together, we can achieve results like this. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Special Agent in Charge Paul Brown.
Good afternoon. I'm Paul Brown, the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Atlanta Division, and thank you for being here with us today. We are here to announce a significant disruption of drug trafficking to North Georgia. As the U.S. Attorney said, just 2 weeks ago, we were here announcing the establishment of the Homeland Security Task Force and some of the significant successes disrupting those trafficking drugs, guns, and significant seizures of cash. Now I'm here and very pleased to tell you about the seizure of over 719 kilograms of methamphetamine. On November 20th, FBI special agents were following leads from an ongoing investigation and zeroed in on a group of box trucks. Those box trucks were carrying shipments of blackberries. Hall County Sheriff deputies and Georgia Bureau of Investigation agents executed search warrants on those trucks that night. In Hall County, authorities seized 300 kilograms of methamphetamine hidden inside that truck, hidden inside pallets of blackberries, and you can see the results are on my right. In Atlanta, the second truck contained 419 kilograms of methamphetamine, and those results are on my left. A third truck was located the next day, but it had already been emptied. However, the driver of that truck is a Mexican national with no legal status here in the United States. He has since been taken into custody and handed over to ICE for removal. We're actively following leads on this investigation. Although this was a significant disruption to drug trafficking here in Georgia, we are not satisfied with this alone. We will follow all leads to ensure everyone involved is held accountable, and will not rest until those that bring violence and drugs into our communities are held accountable and eradicated. While it may be unsettling to hear about drugs being secreted inside produce shipments, we are confident in this instance that no produce was contaminated. And lastly, I want to thank our federal, state, and local partners. They are essential to our success, and you can expect many more of these announcements to come in the future. I'll now be followed by GBI Director Chris Hosey.
Good afternoon. As S.A.C. Brown mentioned, I'm Chris Hosey, Director of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Our involvement, as has been stated, occurred on and around November the 20th with a search warrant that was executed here in the metro Atlanta area. It was a result of tremendous and dedicated investigative work that was utilized for the execution of this search warrant at this residence where the narcotics that were mentioned earlier were located in the containers of blackberries on the refrigerated truck. 419 kilograms, as was mentioned to my left here. This investigation and indictment and future prosecution serves a clear message that drug trafficking has no place in our communities anywhere in the state of Georgia. It shows what can be accomplished when law enforcement work together with determination and purpose. The GBI remains committed to working alongside our federal, state, and local partners to pursue and disrupt the plans of those who threaten our communities through drug trafficking and endangering the lives of Georgia citizens. Joint investigations like this one, in collaboration with our law enforcement partners that you see here today, are vital to fight drug trafficking because drug trafficking organizations operate across borders, different agencies, and jurisdictions. No single force can dismantle them alone. The Metro Atlanta operation that was referenced alone required the partnerships of those you see standing here today, our local, state, and federal partners. As was mentioned also earlier, I want to recognize our GBI West Metro Drug Enforcement Office and our Appalachian Regional Drug Enforcement Office. As evident in this indictment and future prosecution, coordinated investigations between multiple jurisdictions and swift prosecution by our U.S. Attorney's Office, thank you very much for that work, served to dismantle these drug trafficking organizations along with a strong and clear message that this criminal activity will not be tolerated in our state. There's 2 points I'll leave you with here today. What you have heard here today and will hear and witnessed in the items seized has definitely hampered the drug trade in Georgia thanks to the great men and women of the agencies that are represented here today. It will not go into our streets and it will not go into our communities. Here's my second point. That is to stop for a minute, for you to stop and realize just for a moment what could have been if these drugs had hit the streets in our communities. Stop and realize that for a moment. This did not make it, but what if it had? That's a hero moment, as I refer to it, a moment to praise our men and women in law enforcement as this fight will continue, keeping our communities and states safe from this kind of evil that exists. I thank you, and I will now introduce Major Kevin Head of Hall County Sheriff's Office. Thank you.
I'm Kevin Head. I'm the Chief Deputy of the Hall County Sheriff's Office. I mean, just look around you. That's what teamwork among law enforcement will do. I've been with Hall County 39 years. Largest seizure we have ever had of meth. You're looking at, just in Hall County, that was 300 kilos. 660 pounds, $22.5 million. So, that's a big hit. And it's all really due to our teamwork in our Special Investigations Unit, the Sheriff's Office. They're the ones that initiated this case and teamed up with our fellow partners, state and local. And like I say, did a really good job. And hopefully we can keep making a dent in the criminal element and keep this poison off our streets. Thank you.
We'll now take questions if any of y'all have any.
Well, what we've seen is across the board. Those trafficking narcotics into our communities, we utilize anything. So we've seen all kinds of produce, but we've seen just about anything you can think of, from building materials to compartments in vehicles. So it's not any way that they can secrete it and try to get it in. However they can hide it to get it into our communities, they'll leverage those techniques.
And as for the third person that was originally before that has been transferred, that's going to be transferred, as you said, to ICE, why hasn't that person been indicted? What role did that person play?
I'll take that one. I'm going to leave that under the umbrella of we are following a lot of leads, and this investigation's far from over. And like I said, we're not going to rest until we hold everybody from its source of supply when it was manufactured all the way to when it arrives here in Metro Atlanta, in Georgia, until they're all held accountable. So there's a lot of ongoing leads, so I really can't get into too many of those.
That there are more arrests probable?
I'd like to, that's what we're working towards.
Do you hope that this display here and this news conference will send a message to any other people out there and to others who wish to do the same?
Without question. I think what my partners here have said very well is this is a all-of-government approach. We are all committed to keeping our communities safe, and so this is with the establishment of the Homeland Security Task Force and this reinvigorated effort for all agencies to work together. I think you can expect to see.
Do you have any name about cartel specific for this? We understand it's operation part of about take Black America, but do you have any name about this cartel?
So with this particular investigation, I'm not yet in a position to say which cartel is responsible. That's not to say that we don't know, it's just that we're not going to say at this time because this is an ongoing investigation. But this being Atlanta, every cartel has a presence here. So from CJNG to La Familia to Sinaloa, all of them use Atlanta as a hub for distribution. They use Atlanta as a hub for money laundering. They use Atlanta as a hub for weapons trafficking, sourcing firearms to get back and do violence in Mexico. And so regardless of the cartel that's responsible for these particular drugs, we're going after all of them, and we are committed to the elimination of all of the transnational criminal organizations that are operating in our area.
One more question.
Can you talk a little bit about the meth in particular? I know that there's been issues also about with fentanyl. Have you tested this meth to see whether or not it contains fentanyl? And either way, can you talk about how lethal this is?
So I can't speak to whether these drugs have been tested for fentanyl yet. Remember, this is a very recent seizure, and it's an enormous amount of drugs that we have here. But it should be assumed that fentanyl is in all drugs that are confiscated. We're seeing fentanyl in methamphetamine. We're seeing fentanyl in cocaine. We're seeing fentanyl in heroin. It's everywhere. But fentanyl is not the only threat. Methamphetamine remains a very significant threat in our community. Methamphetamine has destroyed families. It's ruined lives. People have overdosed and die, and it happens every day. And so we're not focused on one particular drug. Fentanyl is a scourge. Methamphetamine is a scourge. Heroin is a scourge. Prescription drugs that are abused is a scourge. And we are going after all of it. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for watching A&F Plus. For more breaking news, live coverage, and your community stories, download the Atlanta News First app. You can also watch us on YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. To join the conversation on YouTube Live, visit our channel and hit subscribe. You can also listen to the Atlanta News First podcast by searching Atlanta News First on your preferred listening platform.